might seem a bit hard at first, but I assure you it's really not. It's just basic, anyone can do it kind of stuff. So there's 3 steps. One is apply torque, and torque is done through the use of a tool called the tension wrench. And it looks like this. It's just a little bent piece of metal. And the way it works is that I'll just use, this is some, it's called CCL. It's crappy lock, but you just take it and you place it into the lock like that. And what it'll work to is you'll be able to turn the lock when those pin pairs are raised. Okay, so next step is you're going to take a pick and you're going to find binding pins, and we'll go over binding pins in a second. And then you're going to raise all those pin pairs the way a key would normally do, and then the lock will turn and it'll open. So, okay, so real quick. How many of you have locks that look like this? Any one of them? Or, where's my favorite? It's so small I have trouble finding it. It's about the size of a dime, but it's a massive. Here it is. So, don't quote me on this, but the prices for these obviously go up as they get bigger, because it's generally seen for locks that you see that bigger is better because it's stronger. It's true versus physical force, but this talk's only going to cover non-destructive ways of opening locks. And we'll put him in too. So we have all these types of locks, and I think this one at the end retails for at least $25. They're pretty expensive, and so you would assume that for $25 of your money that this lock would be worth it. What's really funny is that most of the master locks have this sticker that says "tough under fire," which is really good. Buildings burning down, your first thing is to hope that all the padlocks stay together, despite the fact that the door might burn down. Question. Oh, for shooting the lock. I don't know. Oh, wow. Why don't they just shoot the door? Okay. Oh, I totally ruined that. Okay, so based on these 5 locks, which one do you think is the most secure? This one? Okay. So how many people think that this tiny one will work the best? Show of hands. Well, yes. There you go. There you go. Okay. How many of you think the big one will be the best? Ooh. They see the bait. Or do they? Okay. So I'm not going to pick the little one because I actually don't have anything small enough, which may make it the most secure lock. But we'll go for this one. So first we're going to take it, insert our torque wrench, and apply. Beginner mistakes is to apply too much torque. It's really a feather touch. Like you could just rest your finger on it and it'll almost be enough. Then you take your pick. In this case I'm using a C rake. It looks like a little snake. And then I'll just go. Of course I suck at this. Let's try again. Of course I really suck at this today. There. Silence. Ah, the guilt applause. So we'll go to this next one. Pity applause. Big fan of this pick, but there you go, another one. This is okay. So these are actually the same lock, despite this one says commercial and costs more. If you look at the bottoms of them, they'll say the number right here. It'll say number 3, number 5, and that'll pretty much say, like, the higher the number, the quote unquote, the better the lock is. But these are the same, so just keep that for lock purchases. Then we have him. No promises on if I can open this quickly, but it's generally not that much harder, to be quite honest. Hopefully actually I'm going to use a different pick, because I promised myself I'd try and branch out to different picks. Well, we'll try a couple different ones just so you guys get familiar with picks. A lot of people don't know what the difference between picks is. Essentially nothing. Essentially what you're most comfortable with is what you should use. But at the same time, different picks have different uses functionality-wise. For example, this pick is just called the small hook, and it's used for just raising single pins. The pick I'm going to use right now is called the L rake. Okay. Looks like that with lots of little teeth, and it's very long. I don't really know what the L rake is versus other pins except touch all the pins at once, but I did not. What's that? Technically, you should use the broken key extractor, which is this. You shouldn't pick with this very pointy one. Looks like that. Hard to see. And yeah, don't pick with that. I've had friends who get those stuck in locks because they think they're picks, but they're not. Of course, I fail at life today, so I'm going to have trouble picking all these, of course. Wait, give it time. Can I? Maybe I'm just playing with you. Is that right? Well, I'll pick it while I'm going through, and then hopefully it will work. So anyways, so that's how it looks when you're setting the pin. You're applying the torque first, as you see in the animation, and then you're raising that pin pair. And once that blue pin goes over that line, it'll get caught under, and the plug will rotate, and it'll keep that up there unless you release tension with the tension bar. So once you set that first pin, then you move on to a next pin, and then the next, and then the next, until you have them all up at the shear line and the lock opens. So I said find the binding pin, and that might not be straightforward. And the reason picking works at all is because of effects in manufacturing that we can't. Oh, wait. There you go. Yeah, I secretly snuck the key out. Damn it. That is annoying. Okay, so the way picks are able to work is because all of these chambers are either not correctly or the pins aren't exactly the same. One might be a little wider than another. And so the way it works is that they all kind of look like that at a very small level. And when let's do this. When this piece is rotated, it'll cause that one that's leftmost or rightmost, depending on how you're rotating, to hit it first, and you'll be able to push that one over, and it'll jump over the shear line. And I'm just going to try and go around all the locks on this table by the end of the talk. No promises, but we'll see how it goes. So what you want to do is you want to find that binding pin, and if you see on the right, there's that one pin that is actually giving play. And by giving play, when you're raising all these pins with the picks, you'll feel one that has a bit of extra tension on it, and that one will generally be the binding pin. And you want to push that up. There's another one. I know, it's up now. So what you want to do is you want to find that binding pin, and you want to, of course, push that up over the shear line. When that first binding pin binds, the plug will rotate, causing another pin to bind, and so on, until all the pins have bind once you push them over the shear line. And generally, it is that easy. It sounds kind of hard, but once you get a set of tools, or however you want to go about it, make a set of tools, it's very, very simple to do. And actually, okay, so here's essentially what I was doing, but I was using a rake, so I wasn't exactly going one by one. But you see how that pin had a bit more added force when he tried to push it up. It's because he noticed it was the binding pin. And again, here. And in the example, it's very simplified, but for some locks, like these master locks, that does work. And there's another one. So, and that was actually the lock that I just opened, or the same type of lock that I just opened, complete with Tough Under Fire sticker. So Home Depot sells this, and you can't see the price tag, but that's $18. It might come with 2 of them, but it's still $18 for a lock that could be opened in under 10 seconds. So I thought that was pretty funny that that's labeled as high security because it has 0 high security features. Certain locks, such as this lock, this lock, this lock, these all have most of these security features, and that's what makes them good locks. You can't just go in and push all the pin pairs up and get lucky. They're very well engineered, and they offer most of these different features to deter you from picking or any other type of manipulation with picks or other kinds of methods like key bumping, which we'll get into later. So the first is restrictive keyways, and the keyway is the part of the lock that you see right here, the actual hole that the key fits into, and that restricts. God damn it! Not used to this Windows crap. I keep wanting to do like Alt F2 and stuff. So restrictive keyways. So there's an example of one. And if you know your Star Wars, which I actually had to look up because I don't know my Star Wars, that's the Sarlacc pit. And it bears a striking resemblance to that keyway because that keyway is insanely hard to move around in. You have very little room to move your pick, and it makes it very hard to pick. It also restricts, well, Best is notorious for having lots and lots of different keyways, all of which are generally designed to eliminate manipulation. So, any questions? Dead air. Okay. The Best? You buy probably 200 for under $5. I'm just guessing, but most other blanks are generally cheap if they're non-patented blanks. So the next feature will be security pins. In the other examples, the pins were just both cylindrical. I didn't do too good in geometry. A lot of sleeping went on. And the way they work is that they don't just push straight up and give. In this example, the person's putting too much tension on it, so he's moving the lock too far, and it'll get caught like that. And most of the security pins function in essentially the same way. Here's a spool pin that functions in the same way, and there's also the serrated, which has many different types of places it can catch. And if you remember our first example, the bottom pins, and I assume as well as the top pins, I haven't taken this lock apart, but the bottom pins are serrated, as you can see right there. I hope that comes up on the big screen. Yeah, hopefully. Okay. The next feature is side pins, and I actually have this lock. This is the Slage Everest, and at one point it was considered a pretty good lock, but we'll go over why it's not. And the side pin is essentially, it has all the normal features of the locks we've gone through before, actually security pins as well, but it has this little pin right here sitting on the back of the lock, and the key looks like that. It has this little lip right here, and that raises that side pin to the right height. The problem with the Everest is that the side pin is the same in every Everest. This Everest here is the same as whatever was used in the picture, so that the side pin for this on this key, the setting would work for that. You just need the key depths cut to the right places. So what people figured